made God an impotent, sovereignless God without even knowing it. We think that if we offer praise, it automatically produces blessings. Y'all ain't gonna help me preach in here now. We got our cliche saying, when praises go up, like all we got to do is manipulate God by praising him, and he gonna drop us. Don't matter how we live, don't matter what kind of faith we have, doesn't matter if we obey his word, just offer him some praise and he gonna drop us down a blessing. We make God powerless, as if without my praise he can't do anything. We make him defenseless against our praise. We think that if we throw enough money at the altar, that it obligates God to move on our behalf. So we have created, through much of the activity that we do in church, a God who is impotent and has no sovereignty, because he can only act based upon what I ask him to do and tell him to do and think him to do, based upon what I want and what I do first. My brothers and sisters, may I submit to you that only a puny God can be bought with your tithes. You tithe because it's right to do. You tithe because he gave to you. And he asks you, as an act of thankfulness, give me a dime out of the dollar that I gave you. You don't tithe so that you can buy blessings from God. Only a temperamental God could be satisfied by sacrifices. Only an egotistical God would be impressed with our pain. Only a heartless God would sell salvation to the highest bidder. And only a great God does for his children what they can't do for themselves. Anybody in here serve a great God? See, brothers and sisters, I don't want a God who only has power that can be manipulated, that can be chumped or hoodwinked or chided into action. I don't want a God who only has power when I shout. I don't want a God who only has power when I do everything in life the right way and everything is in its proper place. But I want a God who has the right to say yes when he feels like it, has a right to say no when he feels like it, and check this out, has a right to say not yet, no matter what I think or what I do. And I got to be honest, there have been times in my life where God did not grant me what I was trying to manipulate out of him. Y'all don't have to be honest by raising your hand, but if that's you, just look over somewhere else and say, mm-hmm. Let me take a wild guess and go so far as to say that maybe I'm not the only one in here who has tried to manipulate things out of the Lord. Oh, it's quiet now. But I'm thankful that God was impotent enough and sovereign enough to hurt my feelings, to thwart my plans and shatter my desires and tell me no when I wanted him to say yes. We can testify and agree that God's power is not dependent, it's not determined, it's not dictated or defined by what we say or do. And even when we do what we do, God has the right, because he's sovereign, to say no. He has the right to say not yet. But why, God? Because I'm God. Oh, I wish I had somebody in here. How many parents do we have in here? My mother's right there, and this is what she used to tell us. Why, Ma? Because I said so. I don't have to explain nothing to you. I'm mama. I'm sovereign in this house, and if I say it, that settles it. And that's how God is. Because I said so. You are my child. I don't have to explain to you why I don't want to give you my money. Y'all ain't gonna help me now. I don't have to explain to you why I don't want to give you my blessing right now. I know we often like to hear the 21st century that which preaches about an impotent God who sits down in heaven waiting like he's our bellhop to hopscotch down from glory to give us what we ask for, like he's a genie in the bottle, And we can rub it with our shout or by sowing our seed. Come on. Like he's obligated to come out of the Bible and say, Master, what do you want? It's as if we made God the servant and ourselves the master. But brothers and sisters, God has the right to say no. He reserves the right to say not yet. So how do we handle it when God says not yet? Anybody in here God said not yet to? Pastor, I've been praying a long time. He haven't answered me yet. Chances are he said no or not yet. And we're still praying for it even though God said no or not yet. We're just like little children. Amen. How many of you have children that they asked you 100 times and you said no? They asked you again, you said no. What make you think if you ask me a third time I'm going to say something different than I said the first 2 times? If you come back an hour later, it's still no. How do we handle it when God says not yet? Well, let me bottom line it very quickly. What will bring us through divine delay and righteous rejection while we're waiting on God to move is our faith. There are 3 words that I see in this particular text. One is petition. Everybody say petition. Second one is persistence. Say persistence. And then the third one is prize. Say prize. See, in the text we find a mother who comes to Christ on behalf of her daughter who is demonically possessed. And as we look at this text, everything says to us initially that she is in the wrong place at the wrong time talking to the wrong man. We are given the reason she came. She's concerned about the condition of her daughter. We are given the reason she cried. She's crushed by the condition of her daughter to the extent that she desired to find a cure to her malady and her ailing condition. We are given the reason she calls out to Jesus. It's because Mark 7:25 lets us know that she heard of him. God is right where I am, no matter where I am. See, she was in Tyre and Sidon, and check it out. They were Gentile territories, which means she finds him not in a spiritual place. Oh, that just, some of y'all missed that. She didn't find him in the temple. She didn't find him in the synagogue. She didn't find him in Jerusalem. She found him in Gentile territory. That ought to be good news for somebody, because sometimes the place where you need him is not on holy ground. Sometimes you can't wait until you get to church to call on the Lord. Yeah. Sometimes you got to create yourself a prayer closet wherever you are. Sometimes you need him at a job where there's nothing but mess all around you. Sometimes you need him in situations where the enemy tries to be in control. The God that we serve is bad enough to be in Gentile territory and meet you exactly and precisely where you are. Paul found him in the streets. Peter found him on the dock fishing. Rahab found him. Y'all know where she found him. She found him at the brothel. Come on, y'all. Moses found him on a mountain on the backside of the desert. David found him in the valley. Noah found him in the liquor store. Y'all ain't gonna help me preach in here. Never think that your location or that your limitations are a barrier for God to meet you where you are. Brothers and sisters, we've got to learn how to give this gospel to folk wherever they are. They don't necessarily have to come to church to get saved. Y'all ain't gonna help me preach it. They can give their life to Christ on your job, on the street corner somewhere, on your block. God is everywhere. This woman had her barriers, but she still believed. Check this out. She isn't a Jew.